Woman wears $13 ring for 30 years, looks again and realizes she's a millionaire. At a flea market in London, a woman thought she got a steal. She didn't know how much of an understatement that was when she decided that she'd get her ring appraised 30 years later. A woman was walking to the Middlesex Hospital flea market with a little bit of change clanging in her pocket. She felt like she deserved to treat herself to something nice. Looking at the jewelry stand, she first peered at a necklace, but then a glint of a ring caught her attention. She instantly fell in love with it. The woman who wants to stay anonymous felt like spoiling herself. She knew the ring would be more money than she had, but it had more value to her than just another flea market trinket. Feeling its allure, the woman had to hold it. There was something strange about this ring, but she wanted it and needed it immediately. The ring looked as if it belonged to a Disney princess, and the amount on the ring was enormous. The ring would serve as a reminder that if she put aside some money, one day she'd be able to get herself a genuine diamond. But she didn't know that her actions would change her life. She looked in her pockets and took out all the money she had left and bought the ring for $13. More than happy with her purchase, she always kept the ring on from that day. 30 years passed and the woman didn't feel she needed anything more extravagant. She felt like royalty. But one day at the grocery store, something happened she didn't expect. After a day at work, the woman decided to visit the grocery store for things she needed. After getting the necessities, she stood in line at the checkout when she noticed a man peering down at her ring. She didn't pay the man any mind at first. She was unaware that this man was in fact staring and wasn't going to give up so easily. Only after a while did the woman start feeling uneasy about the man. It came to her turn to pay and she quickly left the store, but the man was watching her the entire time. The man kept up behind her and the worst-case scenario played in her mind. What was the man after? How could she lose him? The man couldn't be lost easily. She tried going through a crowd to no avail. She saw her car, her last hope. She had to get there quickly. The stranger said he trailed her because he couldn't help but notice her ring. The man peered down at her ring with a greedy look in his eye. He asked her if he could look at it a bit closer, but she didn't trust the man and quickly turned to leave. As she was moving to her car, the man shouted, "It doesn't belong to you." The woman just wanted to be left alone, so she tried to forget about the confrontation for now. Every day without fail, the woman would put on her ring as part of a routine, but being in a rush today, she completely forgot about it. Making her way to the door knowing she was going to be late, she turned the doorknob, her finger voided the ring. Only after getting on the subway did she realize her ring was at home. Anxiety coursed through her body. She needed to hurry before too much time had passed. The ring was so incredibly valuable to her that she got off the next stop and headed back to her house. "I can't believe I left it at home," she thought, and more so after being paranoid about the man at the grocery store. As she entered her bathroom, there it was. The ring stood massively next to the sink in all its glory. She'd put it there to remind herself to put it back on after brushing her teeth, but didn't. She couldn't live with this anxiety. She had to do something. She wondered longingly if it had belonged to someone famous. The ring was old, the silver had tarnished, and there was a lot of dirt on it, but what secrets was it hiding? A couple of anxious days later, she would finally know the mind-bending truth. Then Sotheby's Jewelry in London confirmed the stone's authenticity. It turned out that her ring was a giant 26-carat cushion-shaped white diamond from the 19th century. The Londoner couldn't believe it. Surely they'd made a mistake. How could she have been wearing a ring of such value all this time? With an old style of cutting, an antique cushion shape, the light doesn't reflect as much as it would from a modern stone cutting. Cutters have worked to conserve as much weight rather than make it as brilliant as possible. Jessica Wyndham told the unidentified woman that the ring could go for as much as £350,000, about $450,000 if it were auctioned. The head of the auction house continued to explain the cut of the stone probably would have meant that it didn't sparkle. Plus, it was all dirty, so no one would really think it was real. They came in with the idea that it might be real, and they had no idea of its value, Wyndham added. The Londoner knew when she was standing at the flea market that the ring sparkled. That's what caught her attention, but maybe her talisman only shone for her. Having lived life from paycheck to paycheck, another man's junk was her treasure and had just changed her life. The ring was sent to auction and got sold for a staggering amount, £656,750, or $847,667. Not only did this great little possessions auction make her life a whole lot easier, but she finally knew that she'd been a princess all along. But how do you know if your costume jewelry is valuable?